Welcome, exiles! In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a step-by-step guide on how to craft this GG Poison Chaos Dot wand for around 70 divines. Majority of the cost is basically trying to get the damage over time multiplier fracture base, and the end total will be determined by how lucky or unlucky you get trying to fracture that. If you don't want to gamble for it, you can just buy the fractured base from the trade site. They go for various prices, and of course the lower tier ones are vastly cheaper compared to the 30 div tier 1 bases. So it's up to you to decide how you get it. By the way, if you want to make the fracture base yourself, make sure the wand is exactly eye level 82, because that will allow you to get a 100% chance to complete step 3 instead of having to 50-50 it. Step 1. After you get your hands on a fractured dot multi base, you'll be scouring it. Then you have two ways to proceed. The first way is to simply alteration orb spam until you get +1 to level of all spell skills. Once you have it, move on to step 2. The second method is to use corroded, metallic, and shuddering fossils in order to quickly and efficiently get +1 to level of all spell skills, while also having a chance to get increased spell damage and +1 to level of all chaos spell skills. This method will also fill in all of our suffixes, so you have to YOLO and know and pray you remove a suffix so you can benchcraft prefixes cannot be changed, scour orb after to clear the other random suffix, and then you can skip step 2 and move directly to step 3. If you only get +1 to level of all spell skills and no increased spell damage, and you're okay with a bit of veiled chaos orb gambo action, then proceed to step 3. If you get +1 spells and +1 chaos, skip directly to step 4. If you get +1 spells, +1 chaos, and increased spell damage, skip directly to step 5. Step 2. Next up is to regal it into a rare item. If you get a suffix, benchcraft prefixes cannot be changed, and scour orb to clean it. If you get a prefix, try to annul that prefix off. If you annul the +1 to level of all spell skills, then scour it again and go back to step 1. If you happen to get increased spell damage, you can keep it in order to skip the Veiled Chaos Orb Gambo later on in step 4. If you get +1 to level of all chaos spell skills, then skip step 3. Step 3. After you get +1 level of all spell skills mod, you'll want to get +1 to level of all chaos spells. In order to do that, you'll be bench crafting can have up to 3 crafted modifiers, and prefixes cannot be changed. If you don't have increased spell damage from previous steps, benchcraft a random prefix mod as well. After that, you'll be using the harvest craft, add a new chaos modifier, and remove another random modifier from a non-influenced item. There's only 2 chaos prefix mods that you can get: flat added chaos damage, and +1 to level of all chaos spell skills. So this is pretty much going to be a 50-50. If you get +1 to level of all chaos spell skills, great. If you get flat added chaos damage, remove the bench crafts and try to annul it. If you annul the +1 to level of all spells, go back to step 1. If you annul the flat damage, repeat step 3 until you get +1 to level of all chaos spells. If you have an eye level 82 fractured dot multi wand, you are guaranteed to get +1 to level of all chaos spells from this step. Step 4. Once we have +1 to all spells and +1 to all chaos spells, we have a few options. The first one is to settle. If you choose to settle, then you can skip the remaining steps and just multi-mod benchcraft whatever modifiers you prefer and call it a day. If you choose to gambo and go for glory though, then you have two options: Veiled Exalted Orb and Veiled Chaos Orb. Goal is to get a Veiled prefix mod with either increased chaos damage or increased spell damage. There's a few differences when deciding which Veiled Orb to use. The first one is that Veiled Exalts are 20 divines, while Veiled Chaos Orbs are only 30c. Veiled Exalts will only give you one mod, either a prefix or a suffix, while Veiled Chaos Orbs have a small chance to give you multiple random mods, potentially filling up all the mod slots. If you choose to go with a Veiled Exalt, then benchcraft prefixes cannot be changed, slam it, and hope for a prefix. If you get a suffix, just benchcraft prefixes cannot be changed again, scour it, and try another slam. Personally though, I chose to go with Veiled Chaos Orb because even if the item gets bricked, it would be much cheaper to go back and redo the previous steps instead of spending another 20 divines on another Veiled Exalt. So, with that out of the way, you need to benchcraft can have up to 3 crafted modifiers, and prefixes cannot be changed. This will block out a lot of outcomes where the item gets filled with random mods and give us a higher chance not to brick it. After that, you Veiled Chaos Slam it and check the results. If you get a Veiled prefix, unveil and pray you get either increased spell damage or increased chaos damage. If you do, move on to step 5. If you don't, then you can either settle and still move on to step 5, or YOLO a null and hope it gets rid of it so you can try again. If you get a veiled suffix, Benchcraft prefixes cannot be changed, scour, Benchcraft can have up to 3 crafted modifiers, and prefixes cannot be changed, and slam it again. If you get a veiled prefix mod with 1 random suffix mod, unveil it. If it's a good outcome, Benchcraft prefixes cannot be changed, scour to clear the suffix, and move on to step 5. If it's a bad outcome, YOLO a null, and if you clear the veiled mod, you can again clear the suffix with prefixes cannot be changed, scouring, and then trying another veiled chaos slam. If you get 1 veiled prefix and 2 random suffixes, YOLO a null and pray you clear a suffix. If you get a random prefix with a veiled suffix mod and a random suffix mod, unveil, annul, hope you hit the random prefix, annul again, hope you hit the suffix, Benchcraft prefixes cannot be changed, scour, and try another veiled chaos orb. If you hit a random prefix and a veiled suffix, unveil, annul, and pray you hit the prefix. Then Benchcraft prefixes cannot be changed, scour, and try again. If during any of this you annul the +1 to level of all spells, then go back to step 1. If you annul +1 to level of all chaos spell skills, then go back to step 3. If you get any random or veiled prefix mod and you choose to settle, make sure you clean the suffixes first by benchcrafting prefixes cannot be changed, scouring, and only then moving on to step 5. Step 5. Once you have 3 prefixes and 2 open suffixes, you can benchcraft prefixes cannot be changed and use the harvest craft, add a new chaos modifier, and remove another random modifier from a non-influenced item again. There is only 1 chaos suffix that you can get, and it's the chaos.multiplier mod, so it's guaranteed to hit. What's not guaranteed though is the tier. If you choose to settle with a low tier chaos.multi, then move on to step 6. Otherwise, you can benchcraft prefixes cannot be changed, scour, craft prefixes cannot be changed, and slam the harvest craft again and hope you win this time. Step 6. Benchcraft whichever mod you like. I prefer increased cast speed. You can also harvest craft increased AoE per quality, or any other one that you might like. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this video. If you have any questions, recommendations, or if you just want me to do another craft, drop them down in the comments below and I'll reply back to you as soon as I can. If you liked the video and you wish to see my future Path of Exile content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Stay sane, exiles.